Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Guitar Souls podcast. This, I believe, is episode number 126, and I am one of your hosts, Mr. Levi Clay, and I am here with my scary-looking friend, Officer McLaughlin. How's it going, bud?
I'll be asking the questions.
Fantastic.
You, I'm all right. I'm tired. How are you?
No, I'm good. I'm good. I was out late in Glasgow. I seem to be driving into Glasgow every night of my life at the moment for either a gig or someone's birthday. Went in for our good friend Sean's birthday last night.
Still not text me back, big handsome bastard.
Yeah. And I've got to go in tonight. There's a jam night at Box, which I have been requested at. So I need to put in an appearance there and get up and play a song. My first time on stage in a very long time.
How are you feeling about it?
Fine.
You nervous?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Nah, you're not a wallflower.
Well, it falls in line with what I do, which is improvisation, right? So I'm getting up and reacting with people, and so I'm not nervous about that. I'd definitely be a lot more nervous if I had to get up and do a covers gig, you know, where there were arrangements that you had to follow. But
that's fair. Fair.
I mean, I'm just going to get up and play something easy, like I Would Rather Go Blind, because there you go, 2 chords.
Easy.
Play over that all day long, and just hide behind Melissa while she sings. So easy. How have you been?
I'm all right, thank you. I was playing in York last night. Played at a gig called Band in York with Street Soldier headlining. It was fucking tremendous. We played in a working man's club. So as you can imagine, like an old proper working man's club. You know what I mean? Like everything's like a shade of brown or gold. Yeah,
I was getting like yellow walls.
Aye, like almost like, but not
that
yellow.
At one point were probably white.
Yes, like not just by nicotine but by time. That everybody knows what I'm talking about. The kind of red and gold bus style stitching seats, like the one like in my house. you all fucking joke about all the time. And a big ass stage, but the great PA system. The sound guy was great, and it was what I've not told you about actually because I was waiting for the podcast.
Right.
It was a mixed bill, but it was really, really good. It was kind of like all the bands that were maybe towards the extreme end of their genres.
Right.
So the first band, Graviter, they were really good. They played kind of like beatdown hardcore stuff. Kind of literally 2-step. They were really, really good for a 3-piece. They were loud as fuck, and they sounded really good. And the guitarist didn't have a rig with him. He had a laptop, and he was running into Neural and then through his Scarlett into the PA system, and it genuinely sounded fucking great.
Yeah, I don't see any reason that it wouldn't, as long as you've got a system that has ridiculously low latency. It shouldn't be that much of an issue.
It was just a Mac into a Scarlett and then into this PA system, but I think that the sound guy kind of knew what he was doing, and the sound system was fairly good. It was like 2 active, not arrays, but it had like a bass bin, a mid, and 2 tops.
Right.
So it was well EQ'd across it, and because it was a 3-piece, I wasn't expecting it to be quite as big or tight, but they were really good. Pariah played, who were like a kind of metalcore band, but like up like kind of the far end. So like imagine Built My Valentine, but like much heavier vocals,
right?
That kind of style, trading off guitars and stuff. They were also minted. The Vexed played, who are a punk band from York, but like towards the grind end of punk,
right?
With other bits kind of thrown in. They were tight as fuck, man. They played for ages. Then we played brittle death metal stuff.
The stuff nobody wants to hear.
Well, I mean, to be fair,
they're always there to hear it. So
yeah, joke's on you.
I know.
And finally Street Soldier played, and the reason it was called Band in York is none of the other venues in York at all would put Street Soldier on, even though they're a band from York. Not because they're controversial or they do anything bad, but because they're a beatdown band and you get crowd killing at the shows. Everybody had been...
You should clarify, because for anyone that doesn't know, you get people just kill each other.
Oh no, sorry, you're right, because we've got crowd killing later on in the show. Or lack of crowd killing.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
So crowd killing is like, you get moshing, so I'm just kind of like slam dancing, jumping into each other and whatever else, but it's like there's no swinging fists or anything. Then you kind of get the hardcore kid dancing, where it's like I've seen it, like the picking up change and spin kicks and stuff. Like, whether you're into it or not, that's up to you, but the next step into that's crowd killing, which is essentially everybody in the mosh pit is fair game for just swinging their limbs, and if you get hit, you get hit because you're there, and the peripheral line of the outside of the mosh pit will also get attacked because they are in direct line of sight or attack. see, to be fair, there wasn't any hassle at the gig at all. Everybody couldn't have been nicer, and it was only the very, very last song of Street Soldier where any of that happened, and it was quite clear that everybody who was there was into it. So there was no drama, no drama at all, no trouble. But what I was going to say, since we were talking about gigs and stuff, and we were looking for kind of topics to talk about, I have a feeling, based on last night, there is a chance that lockdown and the resulting 18-20 months of hiatus of all live music could potentially save the UK music scene, because I don't think so many people are being gatekeepy anymore, because that gig was packed out last night and everybody watched every band.
Sure.
That's 5 fairly different bands. Fairly different genres, sounds, approaches, fan bases, subgenres.
How do you say that? Throw in a country band and watch them all leave.
But you know what I mean? Like, my point is, like, they were all kind of, there is a link to them. They're all on the kind of extreme side of it. It was Chris that pointed that out. All the bands in their respective genres were kind of pushing towards the more extreme or heavier edge of each of them. So they had that in common. But at the same time, like...
Yeah, I see where you're coming from.
Beatdown bands and metal bands, that's quite a funny thing. You usually don't find that hardcore and metal mix all that often.
Yeah. I just think that it's a good time for it now because we're post-lockdown, but I think people's willingness to deal with stuff like that, to go through things, to sit through things that aren't usually their cup of tea, will dwindle pretty quick.
I mean, that's fair enough, but I would like to think they'll give bands the opportunity, because everybody last night was tremendous. Everybody. Like, all the bands turned up, played tight as fuck, sounded good, clearly were interested in being there and gave it a good show, and it just made the atmosphere great. It was like a surreal gig to be in at like such a atypical venue for everybody to just be having a fucking ball.
Well, I went to a gig last night as well. I popped in to see a performer in Glasgow, and I'm unsure on how to progress forward with this, right? Because after hanging out with Sean in a breeder bar,
And what, sorry?
A breeder bar.
What the fuck is a breeder bar?
Where the straights drink.
A breeder bar, right?
Yeah,
okay. Sorry. Yep. Okay. I'm getting to know the lingo. That's fair enough.
I wanted to go somewhere where I knew I'd be able to get a drink, because the bar was absolutely rammed. Boxing was on and everything.
I can imagine.
So I was like, well, let's nip round to Riding Room, because like Melissa knows everyone there, and I'm getting to know a bunch of people in there.
Is that a grinder bar then?
Yes.
So you get breeder bars and grinder bars?
Yes.
I was only making that as a daft joke. Fuck me, man.
Well,
guessing the vernacular.
Well, I wouldn't say that is the accepted vernacular, but when you say it, I know what you mean.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Right. So it wouldn't necessarily be an insult, but you wouldn't use it casually?
It's a weird one.
That's what I mean. Like, I wouldn't want to offend anyone, but if I was in good company, I probably would get away with it.
When it comes to like anything that some people can consider anything a slur. Some people would consider gypsy a slur. I'm sure there's lots of slurs that I could use about homosexuals on the show that many of my gay friends take no issue with and use all the time. But
that's what I mean. It's all contextual. Sure. I always find that for me at least, language. Sorry, I've got a story. It's all about the context and the relationship you've got with the person that you're talking to.
Yeah. So we went in there because I knew we'd be able to get a drink, and there was a performer by the name of Ziggy Battles on, who I wasn't expecting much from. You should, on a Saturday night, I guess, expect something decent, because for whatever reason, since post-lockdown, the booker there doesn't seem to like Melissa, so won't book her on weekends, which is astonishing because I went into that venue and witnessed somebody standing on stage lip-syncing to their own fucking voice. Lip-syncing to their own fucking voice. And the worst part of it was, people didn't know. I knew.
You sure people just didn't care?
No, it's that people go. So with a bar like that, where they have a lot of drag acts on, there are nights that would be drag nights, and there would nights that would be live music nights, and they attract different people. So this Saturday night is a live music night, so people are going to see live music. So yeah, I don't think it's that people would care. I think if you'd stopped the music and said, "Hey everybody, do you know that they're not singing there? They're pretending to sing." I think a lot of people would feel misled. Because when you see someone sing and do like a really impressive vocal performance, it's special because you're seeing somebody do something incredible.
I totally understand. There's a completely different environment, atmosphere. Sorry, when someone is singing and performing well.
Yeah, and of course, really, I'm taking issue with people that are getting up on desirable slots, taking away gigs from people that could be doing the thing that they're supposed to be doing. I guess the thing that's interesting is I don't know if the promoter, the booker, or the sound engineer know that it was lip syncing from time to time, because there's no way they were using backing tracks to sing all their stuff anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So if they do a sound check where they sing a song and there's no voice on the backing track,
and
then 3 or 4 songs in, suddenly the voice is on the track, there's no reason that anyone would suspect it. So I don't really know who the guilty party is here, but either way, I think that's really shitty. I think if you go out to see live music, you should see live music, and yeah, very raging about that. So we'll see what gets done about that. I mean, we took the opportunity to have a wee conversation with the bar owner on our way out, and just be like, just can't believe I come out and seen someone lip syncing tonight.
Sort your laugh out, mate.
It was very poking,
Mm.
and he was like, "What?" He had no idea, and he wasn't happy. So get good, scrub.
You love stirring shit, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
You do.
I love furthering my own interests, right? And that's really what that is. It's like, you should have a talented fucking singer in that spot. And funnily enough, I know a very talented singer. So
who somehow isn't getting booked on this weekend.
Yeah. Though to be fair, I quite like the idea of playing Mondays and Wednesdays, because then weekends are free. So
fair.
Anyway, yeah, I don't really know. I don't know why I get annoyed by things like this, but I also think that people probably get it. I'm sure if there was a band on the show last night where the drummer was miming to track, you'd be like, "Fuck, is this shit?"
Yeah. I don't think anybody wants to go and see that. It's no cricket.
Yeah.
You want to see somebody miming, go and watch a DJ.
Yeah. Or watch Top of the Pops. That takes you back.
Yeah, quite a lot of them did mime.
Yeah. That was the
Not everybody. Do you remember Nirvana?
I know that there were some bands that didn't mime, but it wasn't. It was more that that's what the producers requested of the band. So yeah.
Was it live instruments, but it had to be a recorded voice?
No,
it's
often
all
other way around.
That's right, because they do. Nirvana did Teen Spirit.
Yeah.
And Kurt takes a piss.
The iconic one is that Italian one. We've talked about
Muse?
it with Muse.
Yeah. They'll swap instruments in the middle of the song and shit.
Yeah.
Class.
So there you go. There's our little intro to the show. Guys, did you know? This show is brought to you by our friends over at Ormsby Guitars. We want to remind you guys that there is still time to get involved in the upcoming Run 16 guitars. Those include these incredible hypes available in 5 new colours. That Dragon Burst is absolutely stunning. You can also get your hands on one of the Metal X's, again available in a range of finishes. My personal pick has to be these headless Vs, absolutely outrageously cool. Imagine one of those in an 8-string, I absolutely love these. And finally, the Ando San signature model, available in 6, 7 and 8-string availability. Go and check them out at Ormsby's website right now. This show is also brought to you by our friends over at Rev Amplification, a one-stop shop for all of your tonal needs. Head on over to their website to check out their range of lunchbox amplifiers, both the D20 and G20, 20-watt amplifiers with built-in 2-notes torpedo technology so you can record direct into your computer. If that doesn't suit, you can also check out one of their highly popular G2, 3 and 4 pedals, giving you that trademark Rev tone in a stomp box. Incredible tones, I use these myself. And finally, you may notice in the back of these videos a Rev Generator 120, an absolute masterclass in modern electric guitar tones. Check it out at their site now. So as always, a huge thanks to our friends and family over at both Ormsby Guitars, Rev Amplification, and I'll reach over and grab a V-Pick because they're everywhere.
Thanks for
Do go and support those guys because they are absolutely awesome. And on the note of Ormsby, I'm transcribing somebody at the moment that's playing an RC1.
And you and I have been talking about the RC1
Such a
over
cool
and over.
guitar.
Right.
And I know that I've said to you guys that I am going to be getting one of the hypes with the Evertunes in it, but the more and more I look at that Rusty Cooley RC1, the more I'm like, I could totally go for one of those instead. That's a really cool guitar. Really cool guitar.
Just outrageous.
Yeah. I mean, it's got Floyd Rose on it. I don't really use trems. And I definitely go for a 6-string over a 7-string, but I think it's a really cool guitar. And
the very worst comes to worst, you block the bridge.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
got a tremolo.
Seems silly to do that. Like, if you've got it, use it.
If you're going to use it, it's my point. But
Yeah.
if you've got the tremolo, then you can decide I don't want to and block it off.
Sure.
And it's much easier for restringing.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't restring my guitars. What you talking about?
Fair, totally fair.
Yeah.
See, to be fair, see if you did, man, you need to mortgage your house to get some equity out.
Yeah. Because I keep giving my strings to you when you come over. You're like, have you got any strings? And I'm just like, yeah, sure.
You have given me a lot of strings, right? But you haven't given me that much.
No, sure. But eventually I'm going to go,
no,
yeah, sure. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to go, where have they all gone?
Right. Don't have any strings left, mate. You cunt. You have them all.
I need to buy a bunch of XLR cables and shit. And I was like, because I bought all those cheap shitty ones from Kiefer Music.
I remember you saying.
And then I figured, well, you know, I got the Didario account, Planet Wave stuff. I'll just get them on there. They don't make any fucking XLR cables. They just do instrument cables. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I was surprised by that too. So I need XLR cables, and I might have to pay full price for them. Or I can get them sent over from Hoser.
Somewhere.
Yeah. That'd be fun. Also, on the note of, well, not really note of hookups, we are bringing in one of the listeners into the fold of playing music, young Peter, who is very active in the chat. I'll be meeting up with him this week for a lunch, and we are bringing him in as a piano player for live stuff. So once again, you know, the wonders of this show, bringing people together.
Good cunts gravitate.
Yeah,
that's what I keep saying.
And I will. Speaking of bringing cunts together, if you want to come and hang out with me, if you're a Scotland-based person, I will. I'm actually going out on Friday to Girdwoods of all places, because Melissa's playing Girdwoods.
Right.
So,
okay. I was going to say
any locals that listen to the show, come and say hello. It'll be fun. Should we talk about some stuff?
Let's do it.
So where should we start? Well, at the start of the show, you talked about crowd killing and not crowd killing.
Yes, so we'll just go straight in with this one. That's a good one. A disgruntled fan drove his car into a bar during a P.O.D. show. Imagine trying to kill 5 people.
I know. Tragic.
But the band survived.
I know. Tragic.
That's even worse.
Yeah.
This is wild. So obviously it's Metal Sucks did report it, so it's somewhat colloquial.
Yeah.
I don't casual. So I got kicked out of a bar once. I was being an asshole, got called out on it by security, and accepted my fate. It was a bummer, but life went on. One P.O.D. fan in Birmingham, Alabama, earlier this week, who had a scuffle with security, was not nearly as graceful. We aren't quite sure exactly what happened. We know there was some kind of disagreement that resulted in his ejection from the venue, and a gun may have been brandished, although it's not fully clear by who. But after being led out the door, the angry fan came back with his car and drove it right through the damn front window in an attempt to exact revenge on the security guard who booted him.
Now, I have to interrupt here. Not interrupt. That's not exacting revenge. The security guard doesn't give a shit if you destroy the bar. He doesn't own it. So the only way you'd be exacting revenge is if you were literally trying to kill him. In which, I mean, that's probably
that's exactly what he was doing.
Yeah, that's probably what you are going to be done for. But yeah, absolutely outrageous.
Will we read what that quote said there?
If you like, yeah.
Somebody's took a video of it, is that right?
Here's I'm told what was happened type
thing.
Right,
okay, fair enough.
We'll just bring up pictures of it so you can see.
I mean, a picture tells 1,000 words. That's 5,000 words for these.
Yeah.
Fucking stated that, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where it's not really much of a story. We wouldn't normally talk about it, but the idea of joking about the fact that nobody goes to a P.O.D. show.
Except Alabama, man.
Yeah.
Alabama, man! Strong as fit, he's active.
Everyone, bingo cards at the ready, Mike.
I was waiting on it. And it's a South Park reference.
Yeah, so let's jump straight in with fan mail then, because we've got a few bits of fan mail which we always appreciate. We're going to save one of them till the end of the show as kind of like a main story, if you like. But we've got some kickback on the vinyl side of things from talking about vinyl. Some people took issue with some of the things I said about vinyl in the comments. They said I need to do more research on vinyl because it's more than just clicks and pops. And I want to say to those people, I understand that. But we have a Comedy Rage podcast where we wanted to talk about something for just 5 minutes rather than presenting a really well-rounded argument. Right? I have had vinyl records delivered to the house this week. When I do the whole gimmick of hating vinyl, I don't hate vinyl.
You understand the limitations of a dead medium.
Yeah, and it's more the romanticising of it that
Yes.
I take issue with. Yeah, like I also hate CDs, but guess what? I've got a lot of them.
You have.
I hate guitars. I have lots of them.
You don't hate guitars.
No, I don't hate
you
guitars.
hate guitarists.
I hate guitarists. Something else we'll be talking about today.
Yes.
Sorry. Carry
I
on.
like this. Everyone seems to be kind of
Yeah, full circle.
Aye, that's good.
It's almost like we've planned the show to be that way, and we haven't. It's an accident.
Flying with the seat of our arse.
Yeah.
So Jeffrey sent us an email saying, "Hello, gents. In hearing a discussion on vinyl records, Levi pretty much nailed my love of vinyl records. I grew up with my parents' collection of records, and this was the primary means of listening to music in our home. I have a small collection and have gotten my spouse into the idea of listening to vinyl. The first time we sat down and listened to a record, the first thing she asked is why there were so many pops and crackles and why the treble sounded as if the EQ was set to dial the treble out." It's true, quite a lot of them.
Yeah.
There are some records that it doesn't have that. So if you listen to When the Levee Breaks, Zeppelin,
Sure.
there is so much high end on that, and it's all in John's hi-hat and snare, I think, because it's got like a phaser over the top of it.
Right, okay.
And it's like topped out EQ wise.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. That said, we've come to enjoy the experience of having a glass of wine and putting a record on. There is something about the physical act of having to put the record on and the sensitivity of playback to vibration, where you have the opportunity to sit down and scrutinise the music. It's a much different musical experience than putting on some background music while cleaning up after a meal.
Yep.
I agree with that. We also noticed that there are quite a few larger acts outside of rock releasing music on vinyl. Her, or HER, and Lizzo are actually the two most recent purchases we've made, which is probably also a large contributor to the vinyl record supply issues you discussed. It never occurred to me that major acts like them would put music out in this format, but I'm in my little rock and metal bubble, so that likely just comes out of ignorance. Love the podcast, keep up the good work, gentlemen. Although, even though I'm in the States, fuck the Tories.
Yeah.
Top lad, Jeffrey, thank you.
I see where he's coming from, because I went into, when I was in town the other day, I went into HMV.
And there is a lot of vinyl.
Yeah, well, I was looking for a copy of Hatchet on DVD, the horror film, because you can't buy it on Amazon Prime Video or anything like that. I didn't have it. And I was like, well, let's just nip downstairs. And there's a lot more vinyl down there than there was last time I went in. Mm-hmm. But the thing I would observe from walking through there, fuck me, the price of... No wonder there's an actual boom in vinyl. And let's be clear, there's a difference between boom in vinyl sales versus the boom in revenue generated from vinyl. I can totally see why there's a boom in revenue generated from vinyl, because fuck me, the prices they're charging are absolutely outrageous.
Oh, £35 for a standard.
Yeah.
I know, I've seen it, and that's where it's at. And the thing is, when you hit, even outside of the niche markets, like there is, because it's the hot new thing, it's like an NFT, people are chasing it.
Yeah.
There are alternatives that will cost you less, but you get some form of collector's contribution in your soul from having it.
Yeah, I see.
You've
not done any vinyl with Partycan, have you?
We spoke about it.
Yeah.
I was talking to Bailey about it. Bailey came with us to the gig yesterday. So I went and picked him up, and he was asking. We were talking about this very topic actually, about vinyl, and he was giving me a few of his points. I wanted him to send me more of a voicemail, or even I'll ask him to send an email, and then we can read it out. But he was kind of ranting at me, and we were going back and forth on it and kind of discussed it, and I kind of was like, well, I need to be objective here. I'm a bit of a hypocrite because I talk about vinyl being like a dead format. Party Cannon put tapes out. You know what I mean? We had limited edition cassette tapes. Yeah. But it's
collector's memorabilia type
exactly
thing.
Yeah. It's merchandising. Yeah. It's clever merchandising. Bailey was telling me about a band that did these, like a couple of different things during lockdown to help boom their sales, and supposedly like these cool runs were just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like one of them came with a 3D printed version of the key from the original Doom.
Right.
But it was actually a cassette holder, and it came with the tape when you bought the special edition.
That's great, yeah.
So you've not only got a bit of memorabilia that sits somewhere like a centerpiece, but you've got the actual item, the music, the media.
That's really cool.
There. That kind of shit is super clever.
Yeah, very cool.
Super clever. I think they did a graphic novel along with one of their albums as well. Like it was a concept
album.
All
this stuff is great.
Oh, it's banging. It's cool as fuck.
But the reason I ask about vinyl, if you've put any vinyl out, obviously I haven't put vinyl out myself, but I've got so much of Melissa's vinyl in the house. I was like, how much were you paying? How much do you pay for your vinyl? And she was like, we're probably looking at about £3 per unit for a run of 500, records. £3 per unit for a run of 500.
But if you're a small artist, that's a lot of money.
Sure.
To outlay.
Lizzo, no, I don't mean from that perspective. Lizzo will be pressing a lot more than 500 records, or the label will be pressing a lot more than 500 records, so it'll be costing a lot less per unit.
Yep.
But that record is selling for £30+. Fuck me, no wonder HMV are devoting an entire fucking floor to vinyl. I don't think it's because they're generating tons of sales. It's because every fucking sale is profit, profit, profit.
It's funny, we haven't spoke about HMV going bust and being sold to him in the last wee while.
Has that happened recently?
No.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
That's my point.
Yeah, very,
Yep.
very much.
See, they seem to be generating money this time.
But I would say, not a lot of people down there. You know, for this big boom in vinyl sales, I would expect it to be packed down there, and there were maybe 10 people downstairs.
World Record Day, the record store day. Sorry, the record sales, the record stores are packed.
Yeah.
Otherwise, just buy it online.
Yeah, fair point. Fair
You know,
point.
so many people have just went since like lockdown.
Yeah.
Why the fuck am I going to go into Glasgow on the train to risk getting unwell, to spend fucking 10 quid to be on a smelly train, to kick about Glasgow and get harassed by people in pigeons and... You get me? You just go, click, right, that'll be here tomorrow.
No, that's fair. I retract my statement. I can't really draw much info on how many people are going to be buying vinyl based on how many people are in HMV. But while we argue that vinyl is a dead format, retail stores selling music are an even deader format.
The high street is the ultimate fucking flogging a dead horse.
I had a look through the metal records though while I was there, and they had quite a big collection of Meshuggah.
Cool.
Which was cool because like seeing the artwork massive like that is really cool. But I was like, there is not a single circumstance where you would be able to convince me that listening to Meshuggah on vinyl would be the best way to listen to Meshuggah.
It's not going to be the best way, but that music has been recorded in a clinical way, mostly programmed, so it's meant to sound disjointed in that regards, like almost synthetic.
Yeah.
That's, funnily enough, when you talk about not the best way to listen to it, that's another thing that we should maybe consider. It's not just vinyl that has to be considered in terms of the signal quality. With a hi-fi, you've then got the needle you need to worry about, your actual amplifier your speaker, your cables. Like
Mike's going into cabinet land again.
Pretty much, aye. Even the quality of the speaker itself, you know what I mean? Like you could argue that vinyl sounds great when actually you're running it through like the cheapest vinyl player you can get into a Bluetooth speaker versus maybe if you've got like sitting in here, we've got studio monitors. It's
in a room that is designed for music playback.
Aye.
So, yeah.
But I do also love the mechanical aspect of vinyl.
Sure.
I don't have a vinyl player myself. My dad's got a ton of vinyl in the loft and an old player. But Blaney, he's really into vinyl these days, and he's got a lot of cool LPs. I got him 10 Summoner's Tales for his birthday and another Sting one. And we put it on that night, just sitting, chatting, having a drink and stuff. And it is, man, there's something about it. Certainly for the background. And I think, as weird as this might be, I think the white noise in the track, because it's got obviously like the ground noise within the vinyl, that interference kind of adds to the ambience of a room.
Sure.
You get what I mean? Like, because it's background noise.
Yeah.
And white noise is relaxing itself.
I take all of these points on board, and then I say,
fuck off.
No, I say, but that's not what the band would have sounded like in the room. You know what I mean?
No, certainly.
I keep coming back to it.
Yeah. I'm not saying that's the sound of the band. I'm saying that's an added sound, but maybe the reason people like it and don't know it is that psychoacoustically you associate the white noise with comfort and background noise.
Yeah, maybe. So on the note of vinyl, Fender partners with MoFi for a Swamp Ash built sunburst finished precision deck turntable.
I want to leg drop this.
Have you seen this? Have you seen?
I've just seen
how much it costs?
No.
Okay, so let's talk about it, and then we'll see. We'll get you to guess how much this costs.
I don't want to. Already, I don't want to.
Yeah.
Fender has partnered with audio technology company Mobile Fidelity Electronics, MoFi, for its first ever turntable, the Precision Deck. See, the more I talk about Gibson and Fender, they're not companies that make instruments anymore. They're just brands.
I mean, just license your name out. So
Bye,
I put it on screen
Duke.
for people, so people can see it. It's a record player.
10 points if MD understands where like me talking about Buy My Duke comes from. I'm going to give it a wee second or two and then I'll reveal it, just because there'll be people probably guessing the chat. By the way, I should be in the fucking Monday Night Guitar Geek Club because I am not working. Finally.
Believe it when I see it.
I know. I'll still be like, make dinner, mate. I'll be there at 9:30. It was from...
Oh, look, you're free on a Monday night. Don't go to Monday Night Guitar Geek Club. Come out to Glasgow with me. Continue.
Nah, I washed my hair that night. Yes. So Buy My Duke is a quote that somebody made up from Emo Game. Do you remember Emo Game at all? It was a flash side-scroller that somebody indie made, right? And you played like a character from an emo band. And there was like 4 or 5 of the games. The first one, the main enemy was Gene Simmons and Kiss, because he'd taken over the world essentially, and like QVC was Kiss TV selling all these things, and one of the items was his bagged shit, and one of the things he used to just bounce about saying was Buy My Duke. Tremendous, by the way. Absolutely tremendous game. It might still be online. Go look it up. Emo Game. Anyway, sorry. Limited to only 1,000 units worldwide, the new turntable has a shape designed by Fender master builder Yuri Shishkov.
It's a fucking square. Sorry, it's a rectangle.
Why they would claim that that's a new shape, I don't know, but okay. And is built using the same swamp ash wood as found on Fender's precision-based guitars and finished in Fender's 3-colour sunburst.
They're really trying their best to say that this is somehow tied to Fender.
It's a tone wood, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's great they're going to use the same swamp ash for something that has absolutely no effect on it.
If we're saying that it was like it's found on Fender's Fender P basses, make it look like a P bass then. I mean, that would still be dumb, but...
There's every chance Fender tried to do that, and this Mo-Fi have been like...
no, thank you, that's dumb.
Hold your fucking horses.
Yeah.
It's a record player, son. It's not a fucking novelty item.
You get the idea, so you can see what it looks like. How much?
So internally, the components are designed and built by Mo-Fi with the same technology found in the company's award-winning Ultratech.
I'm not scrolling anymore. I don't want to read any more about this.
That's fine, I don't want you either. I was just reading that part. So it's the same internals that this company have.
Right.
Fender have obviously paired up with them and want to make money on it. There's only 1,000 units. $800. Nowhere near it?
Nah. $3,495. $3,495.
To be fair, the rest of the article, if you're reading it, looks like it's ghastly.
Stock.
It's fucking ghastly.
It is out of stock. They do not have any of them.
The question is, does Mo-Fi have a very good reputation when it comes to hi-fi stuff? Because the spec list there, although I don't know anything about record players per se, certainly not to that level of detail, was so detailed that it would seem to me like they've went to a lot of effort to make something very, very special.
Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that they make great stuff.
Is this the tick episode for you and I? I'm making noises and so are you.
Yeah, I can't help myself. So yeah, we'll do it for, I'm not going to be buying one.
Nah.
Yeah, no, definitely not another one.
If any of you are going to spend $3,500 on a record player from Fender, tell us so we can ban you for the channel.
Here's another one. I'll just throw this in for people, just in case you are free this coming February, and you live in Scotland. Kiefer Sutherland is doing the Chase in the Rain tour, and if you are chasing the rain, I can think of no better place to come than Scotland.
Oh, aye. I mean, he's starting up in Aberdeen, so he's going to get a bit of the rain when he's up on the coast, eh?
Nice.
Get a wee bit of fash.
I like that. So Glasgow, the Old Fruit Market. So if you want to hang out with the Guitar Souls, don't go to that gig on the 11th of February because we definitely won't be there. And that's all I have to say about Kiefer Sutherland play.
Aye, that's fair.
As you can see, that was a sponsored post. I was scrolling through Facebook and I got advertised that, and I was like, I do not want to go to this gig in the slightest. I'd love to sit and have a conversation with Kiefer Sutherland. Absolutely,
I'd be banging with it.
Yeah.
Like, shut up about your music. What about Jack Bauer?
Yeah. Well, get Jack Bauer back. That's all we want.
That's all we care about.
Also, why do you think it was acceptable to become Solid Snake? Why did you take David Hayter's gig away from him?
Nah, he didn't, to be fair.
He said yes. Everybody in the industry should have gone. No,
I don't give
thanks.
up. If Pee Wee Herman was offered Solid Snake, he'd say yes.
Sure.
It's such a fucking cool role. Come on.
Yeah.
Don't shit in Kiefer for being offered the opportunity of a lifetime. I get you. I wish David Hayter had remained to be Solid Snake because he is. But it's not the point.
So we've got a bit of fan mail from Steve. Just Steve. Let's call him Cardboard Steve. I'll let you read this.
Hi, fuckers. Thought it'd be good to get your views on the latest in the Chapman shit show. After posting the attached, the See You Next Tuesday, work that one out, kept up the original video on his YouTube, which is for 2019, I believe. Yeah. So, in which the reason for stopping them is the reason he said he started it, i.e. not having enough time to post videos. So the context to this being,
let's give people the wider
YouTube
context. So this is the
memberships.
Yeah.
Rob's post states, and this is on Facebook, hey guys, or is it? Is that maybe YouTube comments? Could that list maybe a YouTube statement? I don't know. Anyway, it's a social media post. Hey guys, just to let you know that I have switched off memberships.
That's a YouTube comment. This
was something that I thought had been turned off a while back by my assistant at the time, but it seems it kept going. Likely story, Rob.
Yeah.
I don't know why we kept taking your money. I said not to. I want to thank anyone who is a member. I actually know most of your names, and I very much appreciate your support between my duties at CG. What's that?
Chapman Guitar.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Bands and being a dad, I just don't have time to create content for members as well. I invite anyone who is a member to DM me on Instagram with a proof of purchase. I will then follow you and we can chat from time to time. Take care, guys. Chappers.
So I'm going to half side with Rob on this and say this isn't actually all that much of a big deal. The only thing that you could point... Well, So if memberships have now been turned off, the fact that his YouTube video where he talks about memberships is still up doesn't really matter. Because, first of all, worth considering old content. People don't watch old content. The chances of people going and finding old content, sure, people see it, but it's not the bulk of his views aren't coming in there. I do have YouTube membership on my channel. If you want to become a member, by all means become a member. But you're not really going to be getting anything in return for being a member, and it's something that I have talked about turning off multiple times. And the only way that's going to happen is if when I talk to someone about it, like now, I log in and turn it off, because as soon as this podcast is done, it will completely leave my mind, because memberships are, from a creator's perspective, not very good. You know, YouTube take 30% of the revenue, so and Patreon take like 4% of memberships. So I would much rather people go and join my Patreon page than YouTube. YouTube doesn't offer you nearly as many options either in terms of content that you can deliver people. So I can't upload transcriptions to my YouTube members for them to download. There's no way for me to do that on YouTube memberships. So the only real benefits of being a YouTube member is you get like a little badge next to your name in the comments section, which is nice, you know, and we've got, of course, you know, guys like Chris Locke, support the channel like that, and it's appreciated, and it does mean that you stand out a little bit. But
the old man that he is,
I think
what you're probably paying for with YouTube is the premium of using their giant platform, the fact that you can just stream media from it at high quality. I know that there are other sites that do it, but there's no other big video hosting sites like YouTube. That is the household name of internet. It's the Google for videos. Yeah. You get me?
And they're making their money in ad revenue. So
totally.
Taking 30% off me on top of things when your competitors aren't is just ridiculous.
I don't think that's fair. I totally get you. And that almost links into another story, so we'll move on to that one in a wee minute.
Absolutely.
But we'll continue where we are just now.
Okay, go on.
So,
because you've got to get the final line.
Oh no, I've still got another wee bit to write. So, to read. So, Steve also said, clearly not enough sign-ups is proving not financially viable, and a kick in the face for those who did sign up. To now not get the perks honoured, but to get an Instagram follow in return for posting proof of purchase, cunt. Keep up the good work. Fuck the Tories. Hellcat Wally for the win. Can I chuck pieces out of flat, etc. Cheers, Steve. Cheers to you, Steve. Thanks very much, mate. And I don't get why Rob Chappers just constantly has to do things that create controversy, and it's the way he goes about it, I think. Yeah. Not even the actions. It's just him.
Yeah. It's like he's one of those people where I don't want to keep talking about him, but people kind of expect us to. But I want to reiterate, like on this one, like I'm actually trying to calm you down, Steve, and be like, I can see where Rob's coming from. Memberships is. It's just, you are absolutely right. There will not have been enough sign-ups, but even if there were enough sign-ups, from a business perspective, you're going to look at this and just be like, people want to give me, they want to support me, they want to give me some money, and YouTube are being like, no, we'll take 30% of that. Like when people super chat me on live streams and things that I do, it's appreciated, but also at the same time, again, YouTube just immediately take 30% of that. So there's better ways to support me. Like I've got a PayPal me link where YouTube won't take anything.
The convenience of it again.
Yeah.
That's where YouTube are obviously like, you're using ours, we call the shots.
So let's use that as a segue then to jump on over to Steve Vai.
I'm going to let you rant this one out, son. You want me to read this first?
This was sent over to us from Chris Smart on Twitter.
And I saw veins on Levi's head bulge as he read the headline.
Yeah.
Rather, Chrissy's comment on it.
Yeah. So Steve Vai's 2 rules for financial security. Want to live off your music? Here's how he did it.
First of all, be born in the time where music made you rich.
Yeah, when you could.
Second of all, be in successful bands.
Yeah. You're gonna...
I'll go read this too, that's fine. This is on guitarplayer.com. I don't think we've ever used this as a sword, have we? So these days, when it comes to high quality budget instruments, we've never had it so good. Most major manufacturers now offer wallet-friendly brands that guitarists would be foolish to ignore. Epiphone Les Pauls, for example, are now made for every stage. Well, Fender Squire's line is
jump in and say, what the fuck is Guitar Player? Why are you telling? How is this relevant? This is just ways to post links to other articles on their website.
I mean, very much so. It's how do we make money? And we get some product placement going.
You could cut this entire paragraph from this piece. And
right,
just
generating.
Start with
okay, we'll go then. Fucking hell, Levi. Generating an income from your music can still be tough. Performing is not like a 9-to-5 job. There can be good times and lean times, and balancing money as a musician can be quite a challenge. That's fucking true.
Yeah.
I got some really good news about Party Cannon, which I'll tell you about after the show.
Sweet.
Steve Vai lives by a couple of simple rules that can help musicians with their economics, as they did him. Here, the man himself cuts off his fucking...
Share some humble words of inspiration. Go on.
Right, what was the first one there? It was shed your anxiety. I don't know how that makes you rich. Okay. There are two things I discovered that were extremely helpful for me back in the day. One was that financial anxiety is the devil. It's unworthy of you and unnecessary, and most people in the world suffer from it.
That's because most people in the world are on the breadline, and one or 2 weeks of missed income could ruin them.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Oh, and the next step up for that, 2 or 3 paychecks could ruin them. That would ruin me.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as financial security when you live... When you have to worry about a salary.
Yeah.
Probably the only way I can really put it. The minute you have to think about money, you are bound in some way to be stressed about it.
Yeah.
Also, number 2, live under your means. Correct. Not always possible, but that would save you money. Yes, Steve. Thanks for pointing out the obvious. You want to lose weight? Eat less calories. Is that always going to be possible? No.
Yeah.
So anyway, the other thing I discovered, there was a way to alleviate that fear of financial anxiety is to live under your means.
He discovered.
Sorry. One other thing I discovered was that the way to alleviate...
I'm just laughing at the idea of you discovered to spend less money than you make. Well done, Steve. Smart man. I mean, he is a smart man, and so it feels really shitty to make fun of him for trying to appear like a smart man. Well, we know he is a smart man, but come on, don't sit here and tell me that you discovered the way to not go bankrupt is to spend less money than you make.
I think it leads on to another point.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
you're right. So when I was making $200 a week, I figured out a way to live on $180 a week. You can do that. I then took 10% of everything that I ever made and put it aside, regardless of whether I needed that money or not. It was untouchable. My goal was to one day be able to retire with it and have it make money for me, so that I don't have to touch the principal and I can just live off the interest. I'm there now, easily, and it's a great sense of freedom. It can be a challenge to live under your means when you're not making much, but if you're making $1 million and you're living on 10,000 more than that, you're in trouble. I never needed fancy cars and things. I always felt a great sense of empowerment in being able to live under my means. Otherwise, you've got a monkey on your back.
So I'll give him that, but the reason Chris pointed this out to me, and we've talked about this on the show many times.
You've ranted about it many times.
Yeah, we've ranted. Okay, and I'm going to do it again.
And not quite rightly. That wasn't a criticism. That was just a point.
I don't have to touch. I can just live off of the interest. I'm there now easily, and it's a great sense of freedom. Why are you on Patreon then? You have, in this interview, you have said that since you were a teen, let's say, you have been saving 10% of your income, and then you also talk about making that money work for you. Now we know what that means. We know it's investments in the stock market, and you'll have people managing your money for you, etc., etc. Mm-hmm. That's just how the system works. We get that. But you are happy enough to say that you can live off, and you're specific about this, you can live off the interest that you're making there. Easily. So that's not even, you can easily live off just the interest, just the money that your money makes you, right? So you literally don't need your income. You can just live off the interest that is being made. Why the fuck are you on Patreon taking money out of the mouths of content creators who struggle to get by month to month? If I was in Steve Vai's position where I was worth between $5 and $10 million, I'd have some sort of, let's say I'd have some sort of thing like Patreon where I could make content for people, videos, shall we say, live streams, things like that, and I would do it all for free. Now, if only there was a platform where you could upload videos and do live streams to your fans who have put you in a position where you can, again, live off just the interest easily. If only there was a platform for something like that, right?
It's a shame that there's always a paywall in front of it, isn't there?
Yeah.
Such a shame.
Yeah. Speaking of paywalls, please do go and check out the latest Guitar Souls bonus episode.
No, we'll need to start making the earlier episodes public, because like we said, we're not going to put paywalls in place. It's just going to be earlier access.
Yeah.
That's all. And to be honest, they're just bonus content. They're nothing too wild. Levi and I were laughing at the last episode because he was like, you know how you were playing along with it? We got a couple of content strikes again. I was like, or copyright strikes. I'm like, all right, cool. So it must have been quite good. He's like, do you want to hear it? And yeah.
There's a clip in there where he's playing the solo to
No, I'm
Holy
not.
Wars.
No, I'm not.
Fair.
I'm not playing that solo.
We thought you were playing the solo to Holy Wars, and at the end of it, there's a big bend, and he breaks a string, and I was like, that was great when we did it on the live stream. I was like, I'm going to cut that clip out, and we'll use that in the show. And then when we actually when I was editing the show, I edited the bonus episode first, and I cut that clip and I listened to it. I was like, yeah, I can't put this in the show because people are going to go, what the fuck are you doing?
It's like my brother's videos when he plays Eruption without learning it,
Yeah.
or Through the Fire and the Flames or whatever. Like his daft videos of plays without learning.
But to be fair, that's what you were doing. You had learned it, but
I hadn't played it in
15 years ago.
Aye, like quite some time at least.
Yeah.
And that was.
So please do go and check that out.
No, don't.
Another quick one for you. Guns N' Roses have released another single. The single is called Hard School. We're not going to talk about it. Yeah, we won't talk about it too long. 60 seconds. It's not bad. It's not bad.
What you would expect for Guns N' Roses.
I mean, we didn't even get halfway through it, so it could become terrible.
Well, here's the caveat, right? If you can put up with Axl's clearly super edited and almost synthesized clean vocals, when you get to when he actually starts getting into his fry vocal, like proper high range, he's still got it.
Sounds great, yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, that could also be some studio trickery.
Sure.
But the raw element is definitely there, so
yeah.
Worth a listen.
It is interesting in that I enjoyed it, and it's called Hard School, but it could be called Old School because it's definitely got that old Guns N' Roses vibe to it.
Kind of You Could Be Mine-ish.
Yeah, but with more modern production.
Yeah.
A part of me wants to go, do something new. It's a bit dated, but saying that, the last single they released, I was like, this doesn't sound like Guns N' Roses. So as with any music fan, there's no pleasing me. But yeah, definitely worth checking out. So Hard School.
You're a musician. There's no such thing as being pleased.
Check it out. We will have a quick laugh at Michelangelo Battio, just a super quick one, just because we saw that Billy Corgan is selling all of his classic era Smashing Pumpkins gear. Never really into these auction type things. I
find it really weird. There's so many musicians just clearing out their closets, but they're making so much money off their own tenure. Yeah. I mean, fair enough, man. Like, if that's how you want to make your money, like, rather than having to rely on album sales or selling off your back catalogue or whatever, if it's a case of, look at all the equipment I've got in the studio that there is some history to, and I can attribute to that history, and I'll write a BCOA.
Oh yeah, and I'm not going to suggest that the artists should be obliged to keep all of their stuff in a fucking locker somewhere that they're never going to use or even look at again.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's a fucking an Ada MP1. You know what I mean? Like the classic rack mount preamp.
Yeah. The only reason I'm not going to say don't. The only reason I'm not going to talk about this story in much more detail than this is we have talked about Billy Corgan on the show before.
Oh, he's
back when he
loads of things because he's done loads of mad shit.
He talked about the colour of paint affecting the sound of guitars.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I'm not going to talk about it is because I'm being completely honest with you. I've never ever really been a Smashing Pumpkins fan. I've maybe heard 3 or 4 Smashing Pumpkins songs and was like, no, they're not for me.
Fair enough.
It's not my jam, not my cup of tea. So Billy's not somebody who I'm not going to say don't have much respect for. But I wouldn't be starstruck to meet Billy Corgan. It'd just be like, all right, how's it going?
He seems like quite a down to earth guy though. Like, I know he's
take your word for it.
I've just seen a couple of interviews. It just seems like he's a bit eccentric, but at the same time, he's not just like you meet him and he's absolutely fucking mental. He's just a normal guy that does mad shit sometimes. Yeah,
I know he's definitely more into the art side of music. So that totally makes sense. Like, I'm sure I could have an interesting conversation with him about art. But yeah, realistically speaking, I'm definitely not going to. There are many musicians where if I could meet them, it'd be like, oh my god, like I'm talking to such and such a person. Whereas in this scenario, it'd be like, oh hey, yeah, okay, let's talk about art. I would talk, as ridiculous as it sounds, because I don't look up to Billy Corgan in any way, shape, or form. I would talk to him as though he were a peer.
Fair, totally fair.
And
it's easy to put celebrities on pedestals. So it's good that you recognise that maybe this is someone that I wouldn't do that with.
Yeah.
Like, you've obviously spoke about the time that you met Zakk Wylde, and at first you were kind of like,
it's fucking Zakk Wylde, yeah. Still, and anytime anyone's like, who's the coolest or the most starstruck you've ever been when you met a famous person or interviewed a famous person, without hesitation, I always say Zakk Wylde, because he was my hero for so long, and he still is. I still absolutely love Zakk. But I'm sure if someone like Melissa or Nance met Zakk Wylde, they treat that meeting in the same way I would treat meeting Billy Corgan. It's just like, oh hey, how's it going?
Right. So. No, probably with less interest.
Yeah, fair point.
But,
yeah, we probably have nothing to talk about.
Let's go home, babe.
Please go and have a shower. But so the reason I did go with this Billy Corgan story is less about the gear that he's selling, but at a recent Smashing Pumpkins concert, Chicago's Riot Fest, Michelangelo Battio got up on stage and jammed with them and did his typical, shred thing, which seems like such an odd pairing.
That's a bit of a strange one. The video is no longer available, so
Yeah,
I didn't even get to see it.
I'd love to play it for you. I did. I saw this when Chris sent this to me on Twitter, so I saved it to talk about on the show, and then brought it up to show Mike. And the video has been removed, and there is I can't find it anywhere. I absolutely cannot find any live footage of this. And
it's just bizarre, isn't it?
It seems very odd that the person that uploaded this would upload it and then go, actually, you know what, I don't want this.
No, it's been flagged.
Yeah, someone's pulled this down.
Plot twist, it was Orchard Music. You bastards!
They're really the big bad. They're pulling all the strings.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a shadowy cabal of Jews. It's Orchard Music. So, there you go.
They're the Illuminati.
Sorted you out, conspiracy theorists.
Illuminati.
Turn your attention to people that deserve it.
You get it?
Leave the Jews alone. Go after the Orchard Music tree.
The Illuminati.
I like that. So like I say, I would love to be able to play some of this to you. It kind of
you were choking to show me it. Like, you were so excited. And then it didn't exist.
So I don't know the and this highlights how not a fan I am of Smashing Pumpkins, because I think it was on the last episode you kind of you picked the wrong band for it. You were like, yeah, but take a band like Maroon 5, like you probably don't know who their guitarist is. And I was like, James Valentine, and he's got 4 signatures with Ernie Ball. Like, because I do like the band and I do like the guitar player in it. If I like a band, I'm gonna know who the guitar player in is. I have no idea who the guitar player in Smashing Pumpkins is. This
Billy Corgan's one of them.
But we did, yeah, fair. There was another article with the guitarist from Smashing Pumpkins where he was saying that he's a huge Steve Vai fan and he scallops the frets on his top 4. So he's clearly, for him to say he's a huge Steve Vai fan, it's not a stretch to say that he's probably got a lot of respect for someone like Michelangelo, who is one of the guys that has had instructional material out there for years and years and years, and has been a lot more influential on shredders and people that like shred than you actually would imagine.
Do you think he's maybe got something coming out that's of the instrumental shredder shrapnel style?
Or the guitarist?
Aye. Well, I mean, it makes sense if he's hooking up with all of these people that would give him some sort of clout in that, and then talking about scalloping his guitar. And
it would be
I always find it really funny that these things come out and then all of a sudden there's a musical release that's somehow linked into what they were talking about.
I think I can see exactly what you're doing here, Mike.
What am I doing?
Let's segue that into talking about Machinegun Kelly.
I wasn't, but perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. What a fucking segue.
Yeah.
So this was a tremendous post from Kyle.
So we should start by, I mean, we don't even need to tell people what happened with Machinegun Kelly.
Because it happens all the time.
Yeah, but because you've seen it, you saw it. But in short, Machinegun Kelly poked fun at Slipknot because they're an old dad rock band now. It's hard to accept that we are getting older.
Slipknot is now Stone Sour Light.
Yeah,
accept that.
But we are in our 30s. But let's be realistic. We were also, when Slipknot came out, we were also very young. So there will have been people 10, 15 years our senior that were really, really into Slipknot. So there will be a lot of Slipknot's fan base will be 40 pushing 50 now. So to describe them as like an old dad rock band, it's not unfair to say that they're weird guys in masks and he doesn't want to be that. I see where you're coming from, and I would, if I was doing like a stand-up comedy routine, which isn't something I do, but I have considered it many times because I like bombing at lots of different things in my life. Those are the types
off on being disappointing.
Yeah, those are the kinds of jokes that I'd crack. Like, so I see the comedy. I didn't listen to him say it though, so he may have been saying it in a genuine, very like pointed way. It's irrelevant to me because who fucking cares? Who cares? Like, Machinegun Kelly said something negative about someone. Fucking hell, these people that are up in arms about Machinegun Kelly saying something bad better never hear our podcast.
We'd be getting cancelled left, right and centre.
Yeah. And bad news for you guys. You can't cancel Machinegun Kelly. You can't. He's Machinegun Kelly. Now, I don't know who Machinegun Kelly is. I'm not going to lie, because I'm an old man.
So he was a rapper.
Yeah.
His rap career started. He went after... He made loads of weird tweets about Eminem's daughter when she... was 17, I think. But, like, no just like, oh, she's awfully pretty, like some borderline sexual harassment stuff, if you want to remember. Anyway, that'll kind of get swept under the rug, and then Eminem put Rap God out, and then Machinegun Kelly put a song called Rap Devil, I think it was. And it was like basically just slagging Eminem, but it was
Right.
like shite. It was like, you've got a stupid haircut and your beard's weird and like just you're old. Like you're just like right terrible patter.
Yeah, it's the
Eminem
weakest
came back.
patter.
Eminem came back out of nowhere with Killshot. What side of the beef you want to fucking go on doesn't matter. At the end of the day, Machinegun Kelly done the best marketing he ever could have done for himself. Even though he doesn't do rap anymore, he's moved into pop punk stuff. Doesn't matter. You know his name.
Yeah.
You don't know his background, and you know his
I know
name,
his
and
name.
you know the drama.
But I know his name because Jay wants to ride him into the ground. Like that's single-handedly the reason I know his name.
Really?
She thinks he's adorable. She thinks he's really cute. I don't. Women are strange creatures.
He's like a brush with tattoos.
So he said that, and then metal fans were getting really defensive, and my default position on something like this would be like, you don't need to defend Corey Taylor. Most of you motherfuckers that are now jumping in to defend Corey Taylor spend most of your year making fun of the fact that he's constantly on every single fucking news website telling you what he thinks about things. The man's a fucking meme. He doesn't need you to defend him. In fact, he's strong enough for you to spend your entire lives making fun of him, and he'll be all right with that. Like he can handle it.
It's not just that. I think on top of that, I think Machinegun Kelly noticed that Corey Taylor is focal point of the mainstream metal guys, if you want to put it that way. Because as you say, he's always in the publications, right? So the story behind this is that I think he'd asked Corey Taylor to do vocals on one of his tracks on his newest album, and Corey heard it and whatever else, and then said, listen, appreciate it, but I'm not going to actually be able to do anything with this track. I don't think it's my style. If you might ask somebody else, but thanks very much for the opportunity.
Yeah.
I get the impression all that's happened is Machinegun Kelly's went, well, that ruins us riding his coattails. How do we go about it?
Right.
Let's say something that's not even that controversial, but it can seem like I'm starting beef with him because he didn't go on my album. Yeah,
which in turn will upset all the Corey's fans, who in turn will talk about Machinegun Kelly. And this is the point I made. Like for all
no
of these,
such thing as bad publicity.
all of these people that I've seen on my socials where they're ripping into Machinegun Kelly, like, oh, I've never heard of you, right? That's not a point to make. Saying that, like, bragging about the fact that you've not heard of someone who's extremely successful and famous doesn't paint you in the best light. That makes you appear ignorant. You know, it's like I had a lot of people when I've been talking about Lizzo on social media like 6 months ago or so, and they're like, sorry, I don't know who you're talking about. Maybe you should clarify. I'm like, no, motherfucker, you're the one with the problem here. You don't know what's going on because you closed your world off to just the things that you like enjoying. Get a wider view of things that are happening in the world. I'm sure I might not have listened to Machinegun Kelly, any of his music, but I know the name. You know, I've heard of him, and I'm never going to go, who the fuck's this person?
If you were really all that bothered, you would go and YouTube it.
Yeah.
Or Google it.
Yeah, it's easy enough. Like, information is incredibly easy to come by. So people that are trying to shoot Machinegun Kelly down by saying, I've never heard of you, that's not a takedown in the fucking slightest. It's just simply not a takedown. In the slightest. So we were normally we would have me do a rant, or Mike would rant along with me on the way to like deal with things like this. As a fan, let it go. Just like let him do his fucking thing. But actually, we're gonna Kyle, our friend Kyle, made a post on Facebook. We enjoyed it, so we're just gonna read that out. So
I just thought it was like the take that got exactly where you and I come from with these things, almost like bang on word for word, better than I could have typed it.
Kyle's very smart, of course.
He is,
and he's eloquent, and unlike me, I like to think of myself as relatively eloquent, but at the same time, I also like to act like a cunt. Whereas Kyle will just be eloquent. So
I think you're both aggressive and passive aggressive, whereas Kyle's more just making his observations.
Yeah.
So Machinegun Kelly versus Corey Taylor beef. What is publicity and what can you take away for use in your own life? Number 1, people under 25 either don't know who Eminem is or don't like him. Number 2, so what happened when Eminem forced MGK to switch genres? MGK landed a major film role, released a #1 Billboard album, and became a tabloid star, which is something new rock, for the most part, hasn't had in about 15 years. Fair, so most rock isn't in the news, really. Number 3, MGK attached his name to someone a million times more famous than himself, with no risk of alienating his and the music industry's target demo, which is demographic, who literally couldn't care less about Eminem, which again is fair. Number 4, what do you think is happening now that MGK is attacking someone who is literally memed because every webpage reports on everything he says 3 times a day? It's not a coincidence MGK is releasing another album this year. Number 5, Corey Taylor is benefiting as well. He already dominates the dad rock clickbait websites where MGK can gain ground, but now all the top 40 stations who barter about Halsey between songs, are talking about Corey Taylor. Corey and Eminem are both extremely successful guys who can take care of themselves. I wouldn't worry about them getting their fees hurt. I was like, what is he saying? Yeah, fair. The framing of MGK out here taking L's, what is he doing, is so low concept. The results are what's important, not what's said on Twitter. This isn't a nihilistic, go be a dick and you can be famous take. It's asking you to zoom out and look at the cause and effect in your own lives. Especially since many of my friends have their own businesses, bands and contracting gigs. No, I don't like MGK's pop punk album and he seems like a bit of a dick. That's irrelevant, but someone was going to assume my intentions and get aggro.
Yeah, thinking about these things from a wider perspective and not just thinking about how things impact you and your feelings and your default reaction to this. Like, Machinegun Kelly is playing a game. He's in business.
He's seen Corey Taylor's on every fucking magazine. I want that.
Yeah. And it's super effective. And not only is it super, because even if nobody posted, no social, individuals were posting about this on their Facebooks and Twitters, etc., all of the press outlets were going to report it anyway.
He's linked to Travis Barker and the Kardashians now, isn't he?
Yeah.
You know, like he couldn't be playing the social game any better. He's hitting every single demographic you can think of. Yeah. Here's all the original pop punk kids and folk that follow Travis Barker. He's also got quite a fanatical base of people that follow him for his tattoos and his extreme lifestyle and his fashion sense. Then you're going to have all the preppy girls that are included, and then they're getting the... Who was it? Khloe Kardashian that was kicking about in a Cannibal Corpse t-shirt or something. And there was
I have to tell you, I don't know anything about the Kardashians.
Neither do I, but there was one of these girls anyway that's linked to MGK was wearing a fucking... Right. And Travis Barker was wearing a Cannibal Corpse t-shirt, and that was another kick up, and it's like, all you are doing is feeding the fire.
This entire thing, life, everything around you, when you look around you, it's all a game to sell you shit. And if you take issue with it, don't play the game. Like, don't be a pawn in someone else's game to sell other people's stuff. Like, you don't like Machinegun Kelly, I promise you, there is nothing that you can post on social media that will make him go away. Right? You are not going to be able to get one over on Machinegun Kelly by taking out your rage. You are playing into his hand. If you don't like him, simply don't talk about him. Simply don't engage.
Put him in the bin.
I'm not going to even say I don't like him. Like, Carl's points there, and the best one there is talking about the idea that someone a million times more famous than himself, but having no risk of alienating his fans by doing so because none of his fans know who Eminem is. It's like it would be like Party Cannon taking aim at fucking Sister Rosetta Tharpe or like an old Robert Johnson. Eric Clapton. If your next piece of merchandise was a fuck Eric Clapton t-shirt style thing, right? You ain't gonna fucking alienate a single one of your fans. Not one of them. It's true. And this is very much that. So I respect.
I think you've designed a new merch.
I think I've got a good one there. Yeah, like that. Okay, let's move on to the main story. Same main story. Probably won't be talking about it too long. This one actually is based on some fan mail, which is sent in by Samuel. I will let you read this out, Mike.
Thanks very much for this, Samuel. So Samuel writes, "Hi fellas, you mentioned fan mail was thin in the ground, so here's one for you. Your individual Mount Rushmore of guitarists. Mine, for what it's worth, would consist of 2 irrefutable players and a couple of personal ones. So, this is, and I don't think there's any particular order, because obviously Mount Rushmore being the 4 founding fathers of America carved into the rocks. So the founding, is it the founding?
It's not the 4
No, it's not. Don't talk shit.
It's just this influential presence.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. So Samuels are Jimi Hendrix, Van Halen, Richie Blackmore, and John Petrucci. Which, fair enough. Like, I don't think there's anybody that doesn't deserve to be held on some sort of pedestal. Definitely has their influence.
Yeah.
And he's also went ahead and guessed both of ours, which I love. So Samuel says, for Levi, Eric Johnson, Brett Mason, Chris Broderick, and Rob Chapman. They're the 2... you try to get a thumbnail like this? They're the 2 irrefutable players at the end, Chris Broderick and Rob Chapman. And mine would be Marty Friedman, Buckethead, Chuck Schuldiner, and Rob Chapman. Like, mine are pretty good guesses, to be fair. Of joking about Eric Johnson, can't hold a candle to Chappers. Cheers, guys. Samuel. Thanks very much, Samuel. Yeah. So we actually spent a good 5 minutes before the show just being like, let's get our own wee list here.
Yes, it's such a difficult one, isn't it? Because I said to Mike before I sat and wrote a list down, I was like, but who goes on this? Is it like players that we consider to be like, as with Mount Rushmore, like the most important ones, the important players? Because Jimi Hendrix, Eddie Van Halen, Richie Blackmore, John Petrucci. I don't know if I'd put John on that list, but you can't argue with Jimmy and Eddie Van Halen's just impact on the industry. They're incredibly important.
Their market share is a household name.
Yeah. So
I've went a bit more niche, to be honest.
Yeah, but obviously for me, like there are players that I can acknowledge that are important, and every part of me wants to say Van Halen, because I say time and time again that Van Halen is the most important electric guitar player. He is the turning point where things changed. Everyone can tell me it was Jimmy. Nothing changed things as much as Eddie Van Halen changed things. Sure, you might like Jimmy and not like Eddie's playing, but to poo-poo Eddie's influence on the industry just because you don't like his playing would be really short-sighted.
Eddie walked so Jimmy could run.
Yeah, I didn't.
That'll rustle some Jimmys, won't it?
Yeah, I didn't want to put Eddie on there though, because it just seems like an obvious name. So I wanted to put the people on there. Not that, for me, the list that I've come up with isn't the music industry's, the most important and influential people in the history of guitar, but I'm talking about the people that were the most influential on me personally, like the big game changers for me. So that's what I went with. Was it a similar category for you?
Kind of. I've got two irrefutable players that have had some influence on me, and then two that I thought were very much more personal in terms of opening up my mind to certain things, and then hearing their influence on so many other players. Just looking at your list, we've got one in common. So I'll let you go first.
It'll be the second one, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll let you go first.
Okay, so for me, I wanted to run the gamut of like all of my influences because they're important. But I had to start with the metal because it was where I started in life. And while I probably should have gone for somebody who was massively influential, like my number 2 name, I just have to. I will always come back to this name as being my favorite metal guitar player. He will always be that. Nothing will ever change it, and that's Michael Romeo. And I know that no one else.
Gonna tell the truth.
No one in the world is gonna say Michael Romeo would be on a Mount Rushmore of guitar players. But I talk about him all the time because I want people to know he's that influential on me. My number 2 would be Paul Gilbert. I don't listen to Paul anymore, but it would be impossible for me to downplay his influence on me, and how influential I think he's been on other guitar players. Every part of me wants to take him off there and put someone else's name in there, but he's just so important. Then I put Joe Pass, because Joe was single-handedly the thing that helped me start to move away from technique-driven music towards music-driven music, if you like. I'm sure I've told the story of getting Frank Gambale's instructional material because I was into the Gilbert thing and all the instructional tapes and learning all of my technique, and then somebody much older than me said, "Oh, you want to check out sweep picking? Check out Frank Gambale." So I got his videos. And he's a good player. He's a great player, actually. But one of the bonus features on one of those videos was a Joe Pass performance. They were trying to sell one of the Joe Pass videos, and I watched it, and it just changed everything. And I just immediately was like, okay, I need to look into this guy. So Joe Pass was hugely influential on me. And yeah, probably not my favourite jazz player anymore. But to ignore his influence on me would be outrageous. And very much in the same vein, Brent Mason. I have to put Brent Mason on there. Hugely influential on me. Changed my direction again very significantly, and my list of influences. So yeah, I don't think I fully run the gamut there because I've got two rock/metal players on there. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard to pick just 4 people. But I'm kind of okay with that.
I agree with you. I think it's very. You could sit and agonise over it.
Yeah.
Very easily, and I think for the same reasons you were saying about Paul Gilbert, like there's one that you could replace 1,000 times over, but wouldn't encapsulate how much credit that person is due in your world of music.
Right now in my life, I would happily take Paul Gilbert off there and put Eric Johnson on there.
But it doesn't change the influence he's had on your playing and your approach to music and guitar.
Yeah.
And you know what? I've got Paul Gilbert on my list for the same reason. like undeniably influential. Probably not just for me or you, but for a fucking world of players. And for a guy that seems to do a bit of everything as well. Like, what, love it or hate it, man, he can turn his hands to just about anything. And then, so this is not in any particular order, and I changed it 2 or 3 times, but I think this is probably where I'm at in terms of my Mount Rushmore for guitarists. So you've got Paul Gilbert, Frederick Thornton, because I felt like Frederick brought a really different feel to guitar. I know that a lot of that is influenced by Alan Holdsworth, but I heard Frederick before I heard Alan Holdsworth, and in the context of Meshuggah, I think he does what Alan Holdsworth does for the kind of weird fucking proggy, techie, jazz fusion madness, and then incorporates it into a metal.
Yeah. If you were to put Alan Holdsworth on there as well, I think it would just be very fake, because I don't think there's any scenario in which you would sit and put on a Holdsworth record on before putting a Meshuggah record on.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's fair. Like, I'm not a massive Holdsworth fan. I appreciate the guy was a fucking ridiculous phenom.
Yeah.
But Frederick for me is just like something about his approach to melody and stuff. Like the very end of Straws Pulled at Random over that big, long, drawn out kind of open 3/5 kind of drone. And the fact he's like somewhere in the sign of kind of major, it's amazing. And then also had, you were talking about Marty Friedman in that list, that was a really good shout, but I would actually say Jason Becker more than Friedman.
Okay. I never would have guessed that, actually.
Really? Not because I'm more of a fan of Becker than Friedman, but I think Becker had a bigger influence in the world than Friedman. I think Marty Friedman had a great influence when it came to Megadeth, and then kind of went niche, whereas everybody can't say they haven't heard of or taken influence from Becker.
That's a wild assertion to make. I think you're right, but I also think you're wrong. I don't know where to fall on that one.
I'm happy for that to be a wild assertion, and it's not going to be a prove me wrong or anything, but that's kind of what I see. Think about how much people have been speaking about Jason Becker to this day.
That's because of ALS. I would argue that's because of ALS.
Nah, I think otherwise we'd all be talking about Lou Gehrig all the time.
I think more people.
I don't agree with you.
But it's his overcoming of adversity that impresses people.
And remaining an unbelievable musician and having that influence on the musical world.
I think more people have heard of Jason Becker than they have heard Jason Becker.
Possibly. I'll give you that one. Yeah. But I think that also still then shows just how big an influence he is.
Sure.
Comparatively to Marty Friedman. In my mind, and maybe it's because it was like I don't want to say like the candle that burns twice as bright burns out twice as fast kind of thing, because he's still alive and he's overcoming adversity, but he's no longer playing the stuff that he writes.
Yeah.
Whereas he was probably aiming to be one of the world's most commercially successful and influential guitarists. Really, like, he'd set himself up for quite the career. Had everything went well and hadn't got his ALS diagnosis and managed to go on tour with David Lee Roth and whatever else may have come.
Sure.
And my final one, for kind of similar reason to Becker in terms of like just undeniable, almost cult-like following, Sean Lane. I think that there isn't a single player out there who, whether you're into shred or not, that doesn't acknowledge that was a guy who had
that really
a
surprises
different
me again.
level.
Yeah. Not that I wouldn't, Sean Lane was incredible. And while we were talking about this, I was thinking, like, who would I put up if it was a wall of technique monsters, the Mount Rushmore of technique monsters?
But Sean's not just technique, though.
Sure. No, but none of the players that I would put in that category would be either. Like, because if I had to put Alan Holdsworth on a Mount Rushmore, it's going to be that. It's going to be like just ridiculous players that were just out there and incredibly good at what they did. And I'd absolutely put Sean on a wall like that, and I'd have to put someone like Frank Gambale on a wall like that as well.
Like I said, you can agonise over this.
Yeah.
Easy.
But I would have actually imagined you going for Buckethead before Sean Lane.
You know what? I know way more of Buckethead stuff than Sean Lane, but I think that's because Buckethead's got so much stuff that is of a similar vein to itself. And like when you go to listen to him, you know what you're getting? They kind of usually like either ballads or madness. Whereas Sean, like, see the live version of him playing Once Upon a Time in the West, the expression in that, man, it's fucking eye-watering. He's just, or was rather, what?
Yeah, carry on.
Wow. How the fuck did that fit that under an hour? There's the real question.
Yeah.
But I just think, like, if we're talking about the way I see Mount Rushmore, right, the idea of that monument is to pay tribute to these influential characters in history. I think mine's is like that kind of, if you don't know who they are, then this is going to be like a reminder or a prompt for you to learn about them and their prominence.
Yeah.
And whether they're still super relevant to this day or not.
Yeah.
They had such a carving influence.
Yeah.
Because they were so disruptive in the market. They had something different about them, something special, something that was, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they were just like a step above. It wasn't just practiced. It was like a different feel.
This is actually quite fun, right? So this is kind of inspired me to do a long form game on the show, where maybe I make up a list of not a list, like literally maybe a pack of like 300 to 500 cards, and on those cards it just has a guitarist's name, and I'll shuffle them up and draw 2 of them out and go, who do you prefer? Yeah, who do you prefer? Who's a bigger influence on you, or whatever?
Right, okay, right.
And so we can gradually whittle them down and whittle them down and whittle them down. So you'd lose half of your cards the first time round, and there could be some fun in that.
It sounds like you're case studying me.
Yeah, that's
It's like, what's the wee fucking online genie that you answer his questions and he'll guess the character that you're talking about?
Oh,
you know what I'm on about?
Years since I've seen that. Yeah.
Imagine that, but it's just metal guitarists, or just guitarists.
Yeah. The thing I pulled up on YouTube for people that were interested in Mike going, how does that only fit into an hour? Someone that has a video called "I listened to all 415 Buckethead albums," and it's an hour-long video of him talking about that experience. So, you know, if you wanna lose an hour of your life to avoid having to lose hundreds of hours of your life, maybe
that's fair. I
I'm
mean,
forever gonna tease. I mean, that's how our friendship began, with you raging about me not loving Buckethead. So.
Me half cutting the pub. What do you mean you like Buckethead? Making even less sense than I usually do, because I was in full-on drunk Scots mode, and I don't think you'd quite acclimatised to the accent by that point.
Oh no, fully not. No, fully not.
Exactly.
A lot of that night was me just nodding and smiling at people.
Oh, I can imagine you just being like to Kendo, who is that loud, obnoxious pain in the arse that won't stop roasting my ear?
Everybody in Girdwoods. That's what it was.
Which one?
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's us. I think there's our Mount Rushmore of guitarists. Who would your Mount Rushmore of guitarists be, though? That's what you were going to say. Let us know in that comment section below, or if you're in the live chat, let us know who would be in your Mount Rushmore of guitarists. I would be interested to hear them. And I tell you what, if you leave them in the comment section below, I will respond to every single one of them and roast your list. I'll rate your list, or roast your wrote or raced. That's not a thing. Rate or roast. There we go. We'll go with that. So give us your lists below. Other than that, did you know? This show is brought to you by our friends over at Ormsby Guitars. We want to remind you guys that there is still time to get involved in the upcoming Run 16 guitars. Those include these incredible hypes available in 5 new colours. That Dragon Burst is absolutely stunning. You can also get your hands on one of the Metal X's, again available in a range of finishes. My personal pick has to be these headless V's, absolutely outrageously cool. Imagine one of those in an 8-string, I absolutely love these. And finally, the Ando San signature model, available in 6, 7 and 8-string availability. Go and check them out at Ormsby's website right now. This show is also brought to you by our friends over at Rev Amplification, a one-stop shop for all of your tonal needs. Head on over to their website to check out their range of lunchbox amplifiers, both the D20 and G20, 20-watt amplifiers with built-in 2-notes torpedo technology, so you can record direct into your computer. If that doesn't suit, you can also check out one of their highly popular G2, 3 and 4 pedals, giving you that trademark Rev tone in a stomp box. Incredible tones, I use these myself. And finally, you may notice in the back of these videos a Rev Generator 120, an absolute masterclass in modern electric guitar tones. Check it out at their site now. So as always, a huge thanks to our friends and family over at Ormsby Guitars, Rev Amplification and Vinny over at VPix.
I can't work this out, man. My fucking brain doesn't work.
I'm a little bit disappointed that Officer McLaughlin left us halfway through that episode.
Officer McLaughlin was going to fall asleep if he kept his sunglasses on, despite the fact I've got eyes like piss holes in the snow.
Officer McLaughlin has gone to hunt down the P.O.D. murderer. We're just stuck with regular Mike now.
When asked why he did it, he said, "I feel so alive," for the very first time.
God. Were you one of the 5 people at that gig by any chance?
I'm not in the band.
Oh, tragic. So yeah, big thanks to our friends over.
So bad the bar staff left.
Yeah, big thanks to our sponsors. Please do go and check those guys out. As always, please do, if you would like to grab a t-shirt, Guitar Souls piece of merchandise, we have a Teespring store, link in the description. You can also head on over to our Buy Me a Coffee, link in the description. You can support us you can send us $1, I believe. I'm sure you can send us $1, and it'll get you access to all our bonus shows. And I'm trying not to go off, but it's coming.
You ain't got to send us no tree fitty?
Send us tree fitty if you like. Yeah, I can't say these.
We should put that up as a tier. Tree fitty.
The tree fitty tier. Yeah,
you can be from the Protezoic era.
I think I actually do have a tree fitty tier on my Patreon. I'll just double check this.
Tree fitty. Aye, thanks very much for everybody tuning in. It's been a ball. It always is. If you've got any other content you want us to go over, let us know. If you enjoyed the show, let us know. If you hate us, let us know. If you will never pay money to us, even better, let us know. If you'd like to support us, feel free to do so. Get some more fan mail over to us. GsolesFanMail@gmail.com.
It's 300. I should change that to 350.
350.
The 350 tier. Yeah, fan mail is always very much appreciated because it helps the show smooth along. Actually, I really liked how we dealt with fan mail today. We spread it out across the show and made it relevant to other stories that we were talking about. So, yeah, definitely more of that. I don't think there's anything else to say. So, Mike, until next time.
Fuck the Tories. I'm only kidding. Love you all. Be good. Bye, buggers.